Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. I'm off on another adventure. It's literally just yesterday I got home from my talk at Middlesbrough Truth Seekers North East. Went very well, by the way. Thank you to everyone who attended and who organised it. And I'm off again. I'm off to the Awaken Aware 2023 conference. This is organised by Kerry Cassidy and held at the High Elms Manor. This is this lovely location which you've seen many times before. You'll soon be seeing it again. So I'm really looking forward to going there. I'll just show you a little bit more about where we're going and what this event actually is. Okay, everyone, this is the event I'm going to go to, the UFO Academy Awaken Aware Conference 2023 at High Elms Manor, Watford. That's tomorrow. Kerry Cassidy, Caz Clarke, and it's probably Gary Jones, Miles Johnston, I know most of these people. Richard Alan Miller I don't know, the others I'm familiar with. It should be interesting. So here's your prices. If you want to go again, it's worth going to. Now, I was originally, Kerry actually asked me to speak at the last one, and I said I couldn't because I was going away somewhere else. But if I could have done, I would have done. And when this one came up, I actually wrote to her and said, "Do you want me to speak at this one?" And she said she'd let me know, but she actually chose not to have me there this time. She'd already booked more speakers, so maybe she'll have me next time. I'll have to see, because I'm happy to speak there, like I'm anywhere. I'm back in London and I managed to get the coach again. It's nice to be on a coach rather than train. As you know, I prefer coaches to trains. It's a rather humid evening today, not very nice. And then I've got to get to Watford. I could have actually made it easier to get off at Notting Hill Gate to get on the Metropolitan line, which is the one that goes to Watford, but I decided to come all the way to Victoria because I don't even know if for all I know, they've gone cashless. In which case, if I have to make a fuss and maybe find some way to pay by cash, it's probably easier to do that at Victoria than at Shepherd's Bush or Notting Hill Gate. So here we are. About being in London, one of the first things I do is I end up wandering around like a headless chicken for the first half hour whenever I get here for whatever reason. Now, I'm at a location where there were machines you could top up your oyster with, and it's much easier to do there than down on the station, less of a queue. And I don't know where they are now, they seem to have gone, so I might have to do it on the station. Anyway, this is Victoria Railway Station. Cash, no cash, no cash. Cash and card, oh my god, the Nazis! Good news, guys, I have achieved the impossible. I'm in London, central London. I have updated my Oyster card with good old-fashioned cash. Piers Corbyn would be proud of me. I swear this journeys get more and more wild. So, welcome to Watford. Watford, a name that has enormous historical force in the world of HPANWO. In fact, every time you say the word Watford, a troll trembles. So I'm here, I'm just now finding my way to the pub where I'm going to meet my friend Dave. I'm actually staying tonight with Dave, it'll be fun. Yeah, so I was just like last time, he's agreed to give me a place to stay, which is really nice. He's a lovely chap, this Dave, so looking forward very much to seeing him. And there you see a really, really good mural of Elton John here on the library. Of course, he's a local man, isn't he? I don't actually know if he lived here, but of course he's been very keen on the local football club, I believe. Is it? is it Watford he actually owns, part owns, I don't know, he's chairman of? Was it Derby County? I can't bloody remember. Anyway, but he's on the wall of the local library here in Watford. This place has a strangely otherworld feel. I mean, this is weird because I've been here quite a few times, but I don't remember it being like this. I'm wondering if I have somehow wandered into a parallel universe. Well, I don't know, maybe when I beard necked the trolls, or neck bearded the trolls, if that's a word, maybe I sort of like switched into a parallel universe. Maybe there's another universe in which where the trolls are still hounding me and didn't receive the humiliation they deserved. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sort of trying to find my way around here now. It's not easy because there's a big junction here, because I don't remember. Big roundabout junction, lots of subways, usual network of tunnels and things underneath it. Reminds me a little bit of Newcastle when I was there, trying to find my way around there, if you remember the trouble I had. Anyway, okay, down into the dungeons. Okay, this area is starting to look a bit more familiar, although it's rapidly changing, as you can see. I think the reason what happened was that I didn't go into a parallel universe. What happened was, the last time I came to Watford, I must have come via the railway station rather than the underground station. That's right, I came to the underground station when I confronted Droik, or didn't, as the case may be. I think I normally come to the railway station, I've just walked past it. So I think that explains a lot, actually, about why I've felt in such an alien kind of environment. It's actually quite a long way. I feel quite tired, actually, because the weather's rather stifling, and the pub's a much longer walk than I thought it was from the railway. I thought I was thinking of the railway station distance. It was actually as you can see, the tube station is much more distant. So nearly there now. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am now in the Cotha. I used to be the Wishing Well, it's now the Cotha Arms, and I'm with Dave. You know Dave. Yes.
Cheers, everyone.
Dave has been in many videos of mine. It's great to be back with him again. So we're just sharing a little drink.
Cheers.
Cheers. And then we're yeah, we're just going to sort of like have a chill evening in Watford, and then
pre-conference briefing.
Exactly. The real fun begins. Well, the real fun's begun now, but the conference begins tomorrow. I think it starts at 9:30. So that's what will be good. But I'm going to be spending the night at David's place. So where I've been before. You're familiar with it. So that's really nice. Saves me sort of rush. It gives me a chance to catch up on with my old friend here, and so I don't have to rush up in the God knows 4 in the morning or something tomorrow. So that's pretty good. So yeah. And so Dave, you're coming to the conference this time, Dave, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice to have Ben's company tonight and over the weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Watch some vids and shoot the breeze and all that. And
first we'll catch up on all the latest UFO themed TV shows and things.
Yeah.
And also, so what's any particular speakers you're looking forward to seeing?
I think I'm interested in Simon Clarke's again for something. I don't know why, because I don't really know what he's talking about half the time. But I don't know. There's something about him that makes me wonder what he's all about.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating in itself. So it's kind of a sort of enigma, really. And I don't know what to make of him, but I like puzzling over it as I observe him. You know. And,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't understand some of the things he talks about. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've watched some of the videos he's done. He's done videos with Charlie Ward and things like this. And although I'm not going to just dismiss them, I don't find them particularly credulous. However, other things he says I find very interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing Simon, and nice to see him again. As you know, as I've said on previous videos, Simon's been very maligned in very unfair accusations. So. And I've defended him. Well, regardless of what you think about his information, he didn't deserve that. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, there's quite a lot of the usual crowd there. Kerry's going to be speaking, of course. There's going to be Jane Shattuck is going to be there again. Miles, Good old Miles, you've got to have Miles. Now, someone who's going to be speaking, I'm quite looking forward to seeing, is Caz Clarke and guest. Now, the guest, I have a feeling, is Gary Jones. Because Gary is her sort of like accomplice in all this. He's the co-author of the book that she wrote, and he does the field research into the UFOs. He's now the principal field researcher into this entire affair. Have you heard of the Pentook incident?
Yeah.
I was it's really become much more famous in recent years. It was featured on a TV show, that TV show with Craig Charles and what's her name? Not Kate Smith, right? What's her bloody name? Dr. Cruddas, whatever her name is. It was featured on that TV show, and I know a lot of people in the UFO world. A lot of them don't believe it. A lot of them find it sort of like incredulous and like it's not worth looking into. I disagree. I mean, I was actually the first ufological journalist to break this story, and as soon as I got into it, I found it a very credible story. You know, I visited the location. I saw where in Smilog Woods where the wood had been cleared. The woods had been cleared. Very interesting stuff. And because I know a lot about hospitals, I know things like when there were reports about explosions near the hospital and things like that. That's not an exercise. It's not a normal exercise. You know. So that should be good, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just we'll get a chance to sit around outside and shoot the breeze and enjoy the sun and just chat about anything alternative, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I must say, High Elms Manor is the loveliest location for any UFO conference, and you've seen it before and you're going to see it again. I've shown it you on our previous videos. Now, unfortunately, I believe the O'Neills have sold it, or either that or they're in the process of selling it. But I know
it's a snip at $8.5 million if you want to get it.
Yeah, do you want to try? If I had the money, I'd buy the place. I would.
If it's still on the market, I'm not sure.
I think it has been sold. But I mean, the good news is, I thought because they did promise to keep the UFO Academy going and they were going to hire another location. But of course, they can always rent it off the new owners, and apparently that seems to be what they've done, which is really great. So they've rented it off the new owners to keep doing the UFO Academy there, and it's really nice because I think I'd have missed it if they'd moved it. I would have missed it if they'd moved it.
So the owners are living up there?
I think they're still living in there.
I mean, during the weekend.
Last thing I heard, they were still living there. Although, we can find out later from them, but Katrina and Lily and the others, Jonathan and the rest of the family. But I heard that they'd sold it. Maybe they haven't, but I heard. Well, last time we were in there, they're basically packing things into boxes and moving, so they were going to move out. But I mean, we'll find out tomorrow anyway. Yeah. But apparently they may have got somewhere else to live. But it's nice we're going to go back there. I think it is nice.
I'll check on Zoopla or something. Yeah, it's nice to go back there because it's the best venue, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
I mean, anywhere that you or we've been, it's for just relaxation. Especially in the summer.
Yeah. I remember there was they did a TV. I mean, one thing I wouldn't get involved in. Tony Topping did. I refused. But there was a TV camera crew there. I think it was 2 years ago, and I remember very well because the reporter's name was Alex Jones. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Not the guy you're thinking of. It's like kind of red-haired Welsh woman, but
she's on BBC. Yeah.
She just Alex Jones. She does like BBC TV shows and film. Sorry?
You don't remember Gemma? Do you remember Gemma? Gemma?
Yes, of course. Gemma was at Glastonbury Symposium. I saw her last weekend before last. Yeah, she was at the Glastonbury Symposium and did a talk there. Very good. And we sort of shared the place we were staying. Yeah. Well, I suppose it was like someone's garden shed, basically. Our viewers have already seen this because if you guys watch the Ben Goes on Tour, you'll see it. Yeah. But it was kind of like it's basically was sleeping in a garden shed.
Ben Goes on Tour?
It was called Ben Goes on Tour, yeah. TOR, yeah.
Oh, I must watch that.
On tour, TOR. Yeah, it's on YouTube, yeah. TOR, yeah. And it was basically someone's garden shed, but it was a very nice garden shed. It had a shower, it had a fridge and beds to sleep in and stuff like that. And so I imagine the winter would get a bit cold, but it wasn't a garden shed. There was no dirty Wellington boots and gardening tools hanging up and things like that. But it was a very nice garden shed. But Gemma was staying there too, so we all slept in the same place, which was nice. Me and Colin and the Crafty Knights and Gemma, we all shared the shed. Yes, Colin did his talk on Star Wars. It was very good. Yeah. You should get to that sometime, Dave. That's just a very good one.
Yeah,
and if you
not from one that's like 2003 or something.
oh yeah, if you share it, like there are cheap options when it comes to like accommodation and things like that as well. So yeah, Glastonbury's fantastic. It's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be good, Ben. We're pumped here, aren't we? Really?
Exactly. So we're getting ready now. Hopefully, we might be meeting up with Jessica. I mean, you remember Jessica from the previous? She's been on the video before. She's somewhere around here. She might meet up with. Colin might be in the area too. So Colin's actually not coming to the conference because of work, but he may come along to the various social events. He may turn up in the evening. You know.
We're only about 5 minutes in the car from the venue, so so we'll probably be. Then I'll probably be up late to 7 o'clock in the morning watching top 10 shapeshifters on YouTube or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Something silly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be. Yes, exactly. We don't have to get up too early. I mean, I think it starts at 9:30. We can get an Uber up there, won't we? Which with the two of us, it won't cost much.
No.
So that's all to look forward to, ladies and gents. So stay tuned. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm watching GB News with Dave, and we are here with a nice cool fan, a nice cup of tea. And in this lovely little flat here in Watford, and you've seen this before. I don't need to show you all again because it's been in the previous videos. But yeah, we're going to have a nice, relaxing evening.
A little matter tonight and a little pre-conference briefing.
Exactly. We're going to watch a few UFO-style videos, of conspiratorial videos, and we're going to put the world to rights.
Assessing the situation, assessing the global situation.
Exactly. So we're all prepared.
Over pizza.
Exactly. Yeah. 9:30 tomorrow morning. The conference starts. We want to be ready. We want to be ready. We want to be genned up, so we know exactly what we're doing. So we'll see you later. Well, good morning from Watford. It's actually the weather's changed a bit. It's actually got cloudy and it's going to rain today. I had a bit of a rough night. I woke up for a couple of hours, couldn't get back to sleep. It's very hot in where I was sleeping on the settee, but luckily a breeze got up and it cooled me down a bit, and I managed to get back to sleep. So, and we went to bed quite early, so I had a reasonable night's sleep. We should be leaving in about an hour, or slightly less than that actually, to go to High Elms Manor, and I'm looking forward very much to seeing all of my friends who I only see at events like this. And here we are at High Elms Manor. It's nice to be in. The weather's actually, I say the weather's quite breezy and cool, which is nice. I've got an appropriate t-shirt on, as you see, and Dave's got he's got everything he needs in that bag.
Everything's in here.
And I've got everything I need in this bag. So yeah, let the first day commence. And here we are in the auditorium. We were only arrived just in time, so I have to come straight in here. I'll get a chance to talk to people later. There's too much. There we go, we're going to get going. Lots of you will recognise this room, and I'll show you the outside in a minute. Now, I've actually, I'm not going to review Kerry's talk right now. I'll do it later, maybe at the end of the day, or even at the end of the conference, because she packed so much into her event, and well, breaks here are short, so I basically would not have a break at all, not get a chance to talk to anyone if I did reviews of the talks right now. And here we are back in the famous garden. And here's some friends, it's my friends Andy, Dave and Taj. Hey, and that's, how you doing, mate? Hey Taj, nice to see you again, how are you? Andy?
Hello,
how you doing, mate? Yeah, good to see you. Exactly, yeah. It's raining slightly, but it's lovely to be back in this beautiful location. There's the Godzilla tree, still standing proud after God knows how long, and the rest of the lawn and everything. And yeah, so we've got a very short break, and then I think it's the Milester who's on next. We'll have to see. Yeah. Are you guys doing all right? Cool.
1983 in the studio. It was absolutely fantastic. So spinning on, we went through all those radio stations. We came off the air. The other important thing was, in terms of protection, was any government.
Lunchtime here at High Elms Manor at the UFO Academy. Me and Dave are waiting in the queue for something to eat. Now, there's somebody wandering around. I'll film him if I see he looks just like Sean Cahill. And I mean, I want a chance to talk to him to see if it's him. But I'll show you him if I can. It's too strange that Sean, of course, is in the United States. I mean, unless he sneaked over here somehow. I don't know. But anyway, I'll say more about that later. Miles did a really good talk. Again, I'm not going to try and review it now. I'll do that later. But full of lots of interesting things. Right, as you can see, I'm outside the back of High Arms. It's lunchtime now. Miles has just spoken. And there's an underground base at High Arms, and people come out for a cigarette from the underground base, the reptilians. As you can see, smoke, nice filtered cuts and things like that. Anyway, I'm going to show you a little bit of the garden and everything now. The ivy climbing up the wall. It's a lovely place, this. And we go down here, and as you can see, there's these steps going down to the garden. I'll go across to the Godzilla tree, because we haven't seen that for ages. It's really nice to be back here, actually. And there's everyone enjoying their lunch break on there. Some people are on the lawn and going around like that, and sort of like just sitting relaxed on the lawn. It looks like their little cricket pavilion's gone. This is hidden somewhere, but they've moved it. Oh, Miles did a good talk. I mean, I'll say this much. I put my hand up and he wouldn't take my question. He said, no. But he mentioned something about a UFO buried underneath something at Churhill. And so I asked him, is that anything to do with the UFO that Ross Coulthart was talking about? If you remember from his interview with Project Unity, Coulthart, he has this accent. He's more New Zealand, I think, than Australian in his accent. Well, maybe some of their sheet is too big to bury. Now, I can tell you, although I can't give you any details, but there is a UFO that came down, crashed, or landed, that is so large, so big it could not be moved. So the government built a building over the top of it. And of course, once he said that, he said it's not in the United States, but that's the only clue he would give. And of course, UFO Twitter went nuts, didn't they? I think I brought this up on a previous video. They went absolutely nuts trying to find out where this was. Everything in every building in the world outside the United States that looks like a UFO has been nominated, although probably it's the building wouldn't look like a UFO in my view, if it's true. And here is the good old Godzilla tree, still standing proud. Hello there, how are you, old friend? Yeah, I wish I could hug this tree, but my arms don't go all the way around it. Oh, but it's still nice to see you, Godzilla tree. Yes, it is. The High Arms looks really good from this angle. This is a lovely, as I said, you couldn't ask for a nicer place to have a UFO conference. It's absolutely delightful. I've just had a hot dog and a cup of tea for lunch. I don't know if we've got plans for later on. I think there's a plan for there's some kind of plan for some dinner or something later today, so we'll see how it goes. But I think we'll be joining the others maybe for curry or something tonight. Yeah, lovely shot that. So as we proceed back up the garden to the High Arms Manor House, we're going to go. There's a speaker. It's actually Caz Clarke coming up. Now, I haven't seen her yet, but she must be somewhere in the area. There's old Milesy, I think, a little blue figure you see wandering around, just going indoors now. That's Miles. I'll have to be careful when I get closer, because I know at least someone who does not like being on camera. He may still be in the garden, so I'll keep a close lookout for them. And there's the famous fountain. And everyone's happy there. The weather's improved, the rain seems to have gone. Although it was actually a bit too hot earlier. Now it's got cloudy again. Don't like stepping on these flowers. Oh, hello, how are you?
You alright?
I am, thanks, yes, how are you?
Are you hugging the tree?
I did. I went and said hello to the Godzilla tree, like I always do, yeah. It's nice to be back here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I love this place.
It is nice.
We watch your videos.
Oh, thank you. I think I've seen you before. You've been at these events before, haven't you?
Yeah. Abigail and Martin.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you listen really long ones sometimes.
Oh, they go on for hours. Yes, this one won't be quite that long, I don't think. But I'm just, I am doing my little reportage.
Yeah.
Oh, ice cream. There's some ice cream. Clear an ice cream
On
van.
the side of the trees.
Yeah, that's right. But, that's so much information packed in, you know. Like Kerry and Miles were just like throwing 5 different books recommended. UFO, No Defence Significance video I've got to watch. Oh, all sorts of stuff. I'll say more about that later.
Yeah.
Caz is here, and you know Caz.
Hi guys.
She's been in previous videos. This is not live, this is just recording. I'm doing a video, and you have a guest with you. I thought it was Gary Jones, but it's not.
I have a new primary witness who will be speaking today. It's going to be the first time that he's actually spoken publicly anywhere in the world. So
It's an exclusive.
Absolutely. He is a little bit nervous, which is understandable, but I absolutely commend and respect him for coming forward in this case.
Oh, anyone who does, absolutely. Well, I'm really looking forward to this, Caz. Thank you very much. It's an exclusive here at Awaken Aware. So, yeah. How you doing, Gary? Gary is here, though. Hey, Gary. How you doing? You know Gary. He's been on previous videos. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you.
My number one researcher.
And we'll be back later.
The cost to yourself, and it is honestly one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. But it needs to be said. I've been placed in a position where I've been forced to defend myself many times, and today will be no different. I am greatly saddened, shocked, sickened and angry that this is going on without our knowledge or consent. What our military forces are doing directly reflects on all of us as a race, because whoever these people are, they are shooting down. We'll not differentiate between the common man and the military if a conflict were to start. And that, for me, is very much in the public interest.
That we were the first ones there and the only ones there. So I go onto the link road, we take a right, I'm driving away from them now, so it's behind us. Looking around behind, there's nothing there, there's no one around. We then take a left lane onto the link road. The green light is on the left of me with the Apaches. As I go up the link road, it goes up a bit, so I got a better view. So I'm looking left, and I can see the Apaches and the green light, and I'm looking, and I'm going between each one. Got the light, the Apache, the light, and I'm going round. I'm looking on the floor, and there's no lights shining down. Nothing.
I just heard Caz Clarke give a really good speech. Again, I'll say more later. We're just setting up for the last event of the day, which is an online discussion live with somebody who's not actually in the location. So let you know more about that soon.
We haven't had a decent statesman in our presidency since probably Harry Truman.
Oh, you don't include John F. Kennedy?
Happy birthday. Get a grip.
I'm not talking about a sex life.
Well, yeah, but that's a man that is supposed to represent values that we all aspire toward.
Okay, I don't really...
Organizing. It's not carbon-based, and it's organizing. It's a...
Okay, Richard Allen Miller has finished his talk. We're now sitting in the garden. Not sure what we're going to do this evening, but well, obviously I'm staying with Dave, so I'm going to have to stick with Dave.
They all have brown.
But we may be going for a meal. We're going to stay here for the time being. Well, it's raining outside, so we've decided to come in here and be in the drive for a while. We're still not decided what we want to do tonight, and there's no rush, so that's good. Colin is here. You remember Colin, of course.
I remember him.
Of course, he's in most of my videos, and he wasn't here earlier, but he has turned up, which is really nice. Better late than never. I've got a bit of an update for you. I told you there was a chap. I mean, I don't really want to film him unless. There we are. I don't really want to film him. I'm in the light now. I don't want to sort of film him, or maybe I'll film him from a distance. But I told you there was a chap wandering around. I thought it was a spitting image of Sean Cahill. And I thought he's actually come here, Sean. has secretly come over from the United States, and he has come to this conference incognito. Well, I asked him, I said, excuse me, is your name Sean? And he says, if there's money in it, I'll be any name you want. And I said, all right. I thought he'd been a sort of like Yorkshire accent. And so obviously it's not Sean Cahill. And I said, sorry mate, you look like somebody else I know or have heard of, so that's all right. They say everyone's got a double somewhere. My resemblance to Al Murray, the pub landlord, is very well documented. So yeah. Anyway, that's one mystery solved. There are foxes here, we can see them. See, look. A real... They never... Well, they're really, really... There's a couple of them there. Can you see there are two? I think they know they're being watched. If we go out there, they'll run away. Aren't they lovely? Yeah. They're picking things up to eat. Things by everyone else. Aren't they sweet? That's the kind of thing you get here. Very lovely. See the foxes out there.
That's what.
Yeah. They sort of like. They're very. See, they're very. They seem to be very sort of like. They seem quite at home here. That's their natural habitat, you know.
It's beautiful.
The sky's cleared all that.
Clear the sky.
Yeah. I can see a star there. This is the Cheris skies. It's like it's quite late at night now, and we're still at the High Elms. What's that? It's the fox. Oh, they were we saw them earlier.
Foxes,
yeah. Oh, right, we saw them. We saw them.
They come out. They sit on the lawn.
They were playing around on the lawn. It's lovely. It was really nice to see them.
Great. And the deers come out as well. We've got big deers as well.
Yeah, deers come out.
Not just muntjacs. We've got big
nice.
ones.
Oh, what lovely. There's a star up there.
Because everything was so quiet. Some of the big ones came across the road.
Oh, sweet.
Living here.
They're just amazing. We would like watching these two foxes just messing around, picking things up off the ground.
Loads of them. They're like cubs now as well.
Oh, they're lovely. And so, it's turned into quite a pleasant evening. You never know, we might see something ufological. We're just going to keep watching and find out. Well, good morning, everybody. This is about 9:15, I think. We're just coming up to 9:15 in the morning. Dave and I got home very late last night. I think it was after midnight from High Elms Manor. We got an Uber with Jessica, and we went straight to bed because we had a lovely evening though. We were talking to our friends and just shooting the breeze and having fun and things like that. We had another pizza, and it was really great. Evenings like that are just lovely. They're just so enjoyable, and so it was really, really cool. It's a shame I won't be able to stay after the end of the conference today. I'll have to leave at the end and head for home. But I thought now was a good time to talk about the speakers we actually had yesterday. First day's speakers. The first speaker up was Kerry Cassidy herself, and she showed a number of clips, various things to do with child trafficking, and she showed some clips of the hearings, the UFO hearings, which are now so famous. They need reiterating, and she mentioned the UFO threat. Now this is a contentious word, which has kind of caused a lot of division within ufology. A lot of people don't understand what it means. As I said before, it's not about attacking UFOs directly. It's about realising they're unknown and they could be hostile. And Dr. Stephen Greer thinks, well, they're not hostile. No, they're benevolent. All the aliens are benevolent. And Kerry says, no, they're not. This caused that very entertaining debate they had a few years ago. But Kerry's is completely right in that respect, and Greer is wrong. As I explained before, some of them do. There's a railway nearby, so you hear trains going past. Apparently, though, there has been battles between human-like pilots and fighter planes and UFOs, especially in Russia. And it appears that as I've explained, so I interviewed Dr. Robert Shipe, and he said this, and I can't go into details now because I haven't actually broadcast the interview yet. It's going to be on HPANWO radio. He was saying that, this is often done under orders, so the pilots essentially are sent up to attack the UFOs, which is absolute insanity. I mean, leaving aside the moral question, it's essentially sending the pilots up on suicide missions, because when these battles occur, as David Fravor and Brian Graves explained at the hearing, the UFOs can outmaneuver. They can outpace any military asset we have, and they can fight back, and usually they do, and almost always the humans come off worse. They lose those battles. So these are sending the pilots up on suicide missions. She mentions Kerry involves nuclear weapons. Kerry mentions nuclear weapons and the UFO connection. Kerry's written a book, banned from YouTube as well. She's actually been she lost her YouTube channel. She's had it several times. It's been attacked. Someone attacked her channel over a personal issue, I remember, and but then YouTube now have cracked down on it. I think the C word, the disease, and the V word that goes with it, seems to have been something they really reacted against. But she has made a really good. She's made a really good comeback on alt tech. And she also mentions these fires. Have you heard fires keep breaking out? Have you noticed that in Greece and Hawaii? And there's some evidence they've been lit deliberately. And I don't know what's going on. I mean, that fire's been lit deliberately before has happened. You remember the old situation with the warehouses and things, the food warehouses? Is this similar? Is this something similar? She mentioned Steve Bassett didn't let Kerry's witnesses speak at XCon because that was Steve's conference. I didn't hear about that. And she mentions how the Congress have been complaining. There was this Matt Gaetz, of course, especially in Congress. He wasn't a member of the committee, but he was invited to the hearing because he was the one who wanted access to Elgin Air Force Base to investigate these claims about UFOs. And he was not allowed access, which of course is, as he explains, what was it, that famous phrase, we don't work for you, you work for us. Matt Gaetz apparently is a Trump supporter, and Kerry is very open-minded about, and has I think a very good idea towards the old 17th letter. She hasn't just dismissed it as so many other people have. No, there's been these strange situations of aliens. You may have seen this in the news. This is an ongoing situation. There's a region of Peru, a remote region in the Amazon jungle, where people have been reporting attacks by aliens. I haven't had time to look into this in detail. The skeptics are saying they're saying, oh no, it's people. They're illegal miners. But if you go to the redacted YouTube channel, it's very interesting. They talk about that. And Kerry wonders, as do I, if this is something related to the fake alien invasion scenario. Probably by the time you read this, by the time you watch this video, we may know more, because I won't be able to upload this video straight away. Now, Randy Kramer apparently predicted 1 million Americans might die in a false flag alien invasion, fake alien invasion. But Kramer apparently had a go at Kerry once, really quite funny. He didn't assault her, but he shouted and screamed at her, he shouted and yelled and stomped his feet in one of the conferences. Kerry there was also an attempt to get to stop Kerry appearing on the Jesse Ventura conspiracy show, which is quite a good show actually. But luckily, Bill Ryan stood up for her, and didn't know, and said he wouldn't take part unless Kerry was allowed, which is good of him, I think. As you know, I'm against feminism and this, these box ticking kind of diversity hire attitude to TV shows, but at the same time to exclude Kerry, because I think they wanted to make it a men only show, which again I think is unfair. There were, do you remember a few years ago there were fires in California? I remember it very well because I did an interview with Miles just after we'd both been attacked by a person. I remember that, yeah. And she thinks it's to do with the Hutchison effect. And Andrew Johnson mentioned this as well, because it's his speciality, the Hutchison effect. You get the same kind of, you get the same damage side, there's the same damage pattern you do at 9/11, for example. Cars completely and utterly destroyed right next to trees which were untouched, things like that. Apparently there are portals opening near the fires in Greece and Hawaii. I don't know, it's strange, that, I don't know. And she's still in touch with Mark Richards, who has, I don't know, I mean, that guy's pretty dubious, I think, for various reasons. I mean, I've never been a follower of his ideas. Of course, he's been in jail since 1982, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know, but Kerry's still convinced he has something interesting to say, so it's up to her. Apparently the White Hats are closing the portals with using mini nukes. Now, I don't see quite how mini nukes could close portals, because a mini nuke it basically is a small nuclear device, just blows up. How does that close a portal? I'm not quite sure, but Kerry says apparently the White Hats are doing that. I don't know if that's true, which includes the 17th letter. The United States Space Force, I'd like to know more, remember that? Has evidence of the, how do I say it, the you-know-what election, you-know-what. As evidence of the you-know-what election, the US election, where something happened. Oh, damn these restrictions. And apparently they're going to bring that out at some point. The US Space Force is like the centre of the people standing up for Trump. She mentions there's a video on GB News which I have to find apparently, because it says something. I can't remember the details. I should have written down the whole details. Airport scanners are used to see implants. I don't know that. So when you go in you get X-rayed at the airport to check you don't have anything hidden in your underpants. Apparently they're checking for implants. I don't know that. I don't see, because apparently I don't think the X-rays can penetrate your skin and see underneath you. It's actually not healthy to do that to people too often. But so why would they do that? Why would they? Presumably there's someone who's operating this airport scanner survey that doesn't know about the implants themselves, indicate the implants come from another source, otherwise they would know. Kerry says she's spoken to the Illuminati. Apparently there's the good Illuminati and the bad Illuminati, and I suppose the good Illuminati could be like the 17th letter. There's a lot in the Q&A. There's lots of talks about reptilians. Apparently, the guy who does the redacted TV show doesn't believe in reptilians. He's wrong there, because I think they exist. More about Greer lying, the great fake moon landings. But apparently, Kerry says Kerry I don't think believes the moon landings were fake, because she says people saw reptilian aliens where the Apollo 11 landed, she says. That's interesting stuff from Kerry Cassidy. Again, massive amounts of information, some of it I think better than others, but always interesting to listen to. I'm curious to hear her speech this morning. Then it was Mr. Miles Johnston himself. I don't know, was I dreaming it, or did Kerry herself say something about Miles being an MI5 agent? Maybe I dreamt it. Apologies if I did, but I didn't think I'd see Miles here after that. it's quite recent. Kerry said, "Oh, Miles Johnson's an MI5 agent," or something like that. It may have been a dream. It may have been a dream. But anyway, Miles talks about his background. His father was a filmmaker. His family had a business, Irish Linen. He comes from a filmmaking family. Oh, just grab a cup of tea, yeah. Which makes sense. Shows where he got it from. And he got into pirate radio, and he found out there was a hyperdimensional portal in the back garden of his family home. Now I know where Miles's family home is. I don't think it's a secret. Well, but anyway, it's in Northern Ireland, and it's quite a big house actually. I think he's from quite a sort of aristocratic background or something. But there's like a big golf course behind his home, and there are like ancient monuments and strange structures on it as well. And he talks about the Irish radio stations. He says that some of them were protected. They had some kind of protection deal. And he says there's this place where you've had the megawatts antenna, the transmitter. He calls it Alien Mountain. I know it's just a half a mile from the Ireland's internal border, which is they were taking advantage of that by broadcasting to Belfast from just inside the Irish Republic. And some of the DJs were abducted by aliens. There was black goo on the transmitter. Miles was sacked from the BBC for doing pirate radio, even though it was in his own time. It's funny because, like Miles has often said, he, myself, Kevin Amick, Gary Heseltine, we were all attacked professionally at the same time. Miles wrote a letter to Nick Pope, and Pope replied saying UFOs were of no defence significance, but there's actually a documentary with that title, which I've been watching. I managed to sneak a little bit of it on my phone during the break, which Miles was involved in. Apparently there's now the Black Octopus sting, which was at the pirate radio station. This is along with the Black Goo and the Scuttlers. He mentions Peasmore, Barry King, the PGLF drawing, the programmably generated life form. He says the heel prick test for babies. I don't know if you know this, but because what you'll find is when babies are born, the midwives will just stab the heel with the lancet and draw some blood from the baby, just a tiny bit. Apparently that's to do with DNA profiling, and this led apparently to the Super Soldier program, which Max Spears, Sarah Adams and James Casbolt were involved in. I don't find the Super Soldier idea very credible. I think it's most people who say they're super soldiers I don't believe, though there are instances where I think it's possible that such a thing occurs. Indeed, even the government have said themselves they want to create super soldiers, like in Project for the New American Century, involving drugs and things like that, to enhance performance. And indeed, the Ericssons, those crazy Swedish twins that I've mentioned so many times before, I think they could be the result of that. Apparently Elon Musk has access to the Peasmore base. He mentions Michael Aquino, who was this guy he interviewed. It wasn't a brilliant interview. He didn't really unfortunately only got interesting towards the end. I remember Aquino just sort of Aquino just went through a lot of very routine stuff. And just before the end of the interview, it started to get really interesting, and then he said, "Sorry, I've got to go now," and he buggered off. Yeah. Miles mentions several television programs, which I hate to mention, like Confessions of an Alien Abductee and The Great UFO Conspiracy. He mentions Dickie, the guy who calls Miles a clown, and calls me a effing servant of the mainstream media, and his persecution by the BBC. And then he comes on to the Michael Shrimpton stuff, the Fourth Reich, the Fifth Reich, the CIA being controlled by the Germans, and the Falkland Southern Fuel, the Black Goo on Southern Fuel,
Zelensky is no longer useful. Yeah, you can see that. He's sort of like, he was only tolerated when he was useful, and he's not anymore. The Battle of the Boyne, Island Land of the Pharaohs, that's a good book if you've not read it. It talks about the Battle of the Boyne. And this thing happening in Niger, where this coup has happened, it may have... Niger is a massive supplier of uranium ore. There's huge mines and quarries in the country where the uranium is mined for nuclear power. It's one of the country's principal exports, and it's just been taken over by a new leader who took power in a forced coup. Yeah. There's lots of alien bases in Wiltshire. Apparently I'll have a chance to investigate this later today, because I might be able to visit the place, believe it or not. Miles says there's an alien base. It's an underground station in London. It's actually Holborn. Well, I can check that out, can't I? Right, where's the rest of my notes? And I think that's these notes are done. Okay, I should get the rest of my notes in this very fetching notebook that I have. I've showed you this before. Maureen Dawn gave it to me from Truth Seekers North East. Where we are. Right. I think that's all Miles' notes yet. I think it is, yeah. Okay, so who's next? Oh, here we go. Miles continued. He mentions the spaceport at St Morgan. Now, that's in Cornwall. There's an airport there. AR/499. That's the Peasmore base. Lost hour in Peasmore in the pub. Apparently, someone went to the Peasmore pub and had missing time. No, I don't know. I sometimes myself have had missing time in pubs. It's got nothing to do with aliens. It's simply what I'm consuming there. But the Fox of Peasmore I've been to, and of course I filmed there in my Peasmore video. Lovely, the first one. It's a lovely pub, really lovely pub. He mentions the Puzzle Palace book about the NSA, that's very interesting, and how these agencies all allowed us to get, you know what, V-worded, so that we had things inside us. You know, there's probably 3/4 of the people in the world now have some kind of agent inside them. We don't know what it is. There's the Eastfield. There's the photograph of the Eastfield near Alton Barnes, which is a really huge field, which often has crop circles in. There was a black orb there, photograph, like a UFO kind of thing. There's lots of black and white UAPs, and he mentions various types of aliens, including the Negumac, which apparently, and he showed a picture of the alien from Independence Day, which I've mentioned recently, which is clearly, I've said, is a piece of propaganda. There's the Mayra Greys, which are very bad. And he mentions this thing, he actually mentions like something that came up in one of his videos recently, a light being caught on a doorbell camera, and and he mentions Zena in Cornwall is a very important place. There's an Alpha Draconis base there. And apparently there's a big UFO buried under Churhill. I put my hand up, I said, Miles, say more. And he says, no, he wouldn't take my question. But apparently, I do wonder if there's a giant UFO buried under Churhill in Wiltshire. And I said, is this... I wanted to ask him, I asked him privately later, is this the same one that Ross Coulthart talks about? I don't know. Apparently there's a UFO radiation link near Wootton Bassett, which is in the same area. Anyway, I'll come back in a minute. I'm just going to take a little break. Now, Caz Clarke was there. Now, I mean, you're familiar pretty much with the Caz Clarke story, not least because I was actually the first ufological journalist to break this story. So I don't need to go into a lot of this, but Caz she went through her basic premise and how she's indicated beyond doubt through a lot of research that she and Gary Jones have done, that the Pentuck incident was an anomaly. It was not like just an exercise. I mean, I know people like skeptics, they cling to this idea that it was exercise chameleon, even though if it were an exercise, the paper trail would be totally different. It would be completely and utterly different. But they keep insisting, no, it was exercise chameleon. It's just, well, what about this? What about this? What about this document, that document, these things like that? And what about this irregularity and things like that? And they go, no, it was exercise chameleon. They just won't let it go. It's really, really bizarre behaviour on their part. But there you go. That's skeptics for you. Now, the guest Caz introduced was not Gary Jones. Gary was there, but her guest was a guy called Jacob Coleman. I don't know if that's his real name or a pseudonym. If it's not his real name, understandable. But he told his story. Now, Caz was shadow banned, and she started a petition. She was shadow banned, which very often happens to people like us. And she started a petition which has 100,000 signatures, and I can't. If I haven't signed it, obviously I'll go and sign it now to try and get this. And she's trying to get 100,000 signatures for it. I'll try and find out details. I'll let you know. But on the 26th of February 2016, obviously something weird happened. She left comments immediately on Wales Online, which was reporting loud bangs and flashing lights in the area. There was no mention of any military exercise then. That came later, the backfilling. No one really gave any proper answer except the Royal Mint, and that was another one off train. That was to me, that's quite clearly a cover-up. Now, witnesses apparently were detained, they were assaulted, they were kidnapped. I mean, the kidnap is the word for it. Not by the police, by military personnel, which is completely illegal. Completely illegal in this country. Now, Jacob himself, they played an audio of these people describing how they were recently snatched and dragged into cars and vans by the military, and they were like, soldiers were like interrogating them, things like that. Jacob announced how he saw some green lights in the sky, and he took some photographs. I've seen the photographs. They've been published. I mean, Caz did show them privately at her Skywatch, but they've since been published. And there were a number of Apaches, helicopter gunships, that were flying around this green object with a curved side, flat on top. It sounds very much like the green objects that Caz saw. And there were no wings or engines, and apparently this was what came down in Smilog Woods. And Caz believes that they actually shot at it and it crashed. So sometimes, humans do win these battles. Not that it's a good thing. There's the moral issue, of course. But we don't want to declare war on any extraterrestrial species for practical reasons as well, such as, if it came to war, we'd win. And as she says quite poignantly, Caz is a very good speaker. She's very eloquent. Ignorance is choice. And she's written a letter to the king and hasn't had a reply yet. I thought, he might get back to her, seeing as, his dad, Prince Philip, was very interested in UFOs, and we all know the story of Sir Peter Horsley and Janus, this alien he met, who was his king's equerry. In the rebuttal, Caz ended with "God save the king," and in the Q&A there was a lot of rebuttal against that, and people saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't respect the king," and things like this. Now, although I see what they mean, I didn't say anything about this because it's kind of like mixing subjects, and I sometimes think it's better not to mix subjects. So if someone is talking about UFOs, and this is why I don't challenge Steve Bassett when I'm interviewing him, when he talks about Ukraine and the V word and things like this, because once someone goes off on a tangent for any reason and says something you don't agree with, you could end up with in a debate about that, which drags you away from the original subject. Which is why I didn't say anything to Caz about that. The final speaker was someone I've actually not heard of, Richard Allen Miller. Now, he appeared on remotely on Skype or Zoom or something, and he came out with all kinds of things which about the pole shift, Van Allen belts protecting us, the USA is going to be fragmented by floods at the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. Space-time is a construct. Uranus, Earth and Mercury have not had our poles reversed. Leave unoriginal jokes below, please. All the other planets have had magnetic pole reversals. Now, he knew Timothy Leary, and the way he spoke, I think he probably knew Timothy Leary too well. Stan Deyo, prediction by Stan Deyo, that there's going to be a pole shift in 2027. Infrastructure, supply chain, fragmentation. He's into survivalism, prepping. He has a Swiss-English background, even though he's American. His grandfather was a major Freemason. Space radiation stops space exploration. That's something you're familiar with from Marcus Allen. And he talks about lots of other things such as the Kabbalah and what was it? Kerry mentions children's bodies at Göbekli Tepe, indicating there were sacrifices. And there was I think there was a mixture of, what happened was Kerry said, completely disagreed with him on something because he said, well, truth is relative. And Kerry said, well, truth is not relative because some things are right or wrong, such as harming children is wrong, and that's an absolute, just like saying 2 + 2 = 4. And I agree with her. However, I think what happened was Miller was talking about epistemology, like about learning about just facts, and then Kerry responded with an ethical issue. So in a sense, they were talking. It was like they were talking a bit at cross purposes. In fact, they talked at cross purposes the whole way. I think the interview was a little bit hard to follow because of that. Because they were talking at cross purposes in that way. In fact, Richard Allen Miller actually he sounded to me like a bit of a space cadet. I think he may have overindulged on the old whatever it was he was taking with Timothy Leary. Because although I'm not against the use of these substances, I've talked about them before. I've read Graham Hancock's Supernatural and Rick Strassman and Stanislav Grof and people like that. You can get into a situation where you overuse or misuse certain substances, and they can make you a little bit spaced out. And he was a very spaced out guy, so difficult to follow. Never heard of him before. Probably won't look into him in any more detail, because he was just like it was just like having a conversation with someone who's really in another world, I think. And he sort of was always chatting and laughing, very jovial man. Didn't seem to realise, he never seemed to spot at the time that people were like vehemently confronting him. He just seemed to be unaware of it. Anyway, it was a lovely, very interesting set of day speakers. I really did, probably Richard Allen Miller, not so much, but the others I thought were very interesting. Okay, we're heading up for the venue now. I've walked this once. It takes about an hour. For an ex-hospital porter, obviously it's less, but it's nice to get a little lift. Here we are, it's day 2. Dave and I have arrived, and we're heading in. I'm not eating very healthy this particular event. I've been sort of. Oh yeah, we had pizza, haven't we? We've had 2 pizzas.
Pizza? You had a pizza? No. Yes, you had pizza last night in here.
Yeah.
I had fish and chips, and yeah, not good for my waistline, but
well, it's only for a couple of days.
It's only a weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Morning.
And I've had hot dogs. That's what I've eaten today.
Oh, yeah, we've had hot dogs.
But we're on holiday. What the hell?
And we should have more as well.
Yeah, I got ordered a lovely pizza through Uber Eats. I've never used Uber
Hot
Eats
dogs are
before.
part of our plan today.
Yeah. Uber Eats, by the way, doesn't mean like ambushing some hapless taxi driver and cannibalising him. It's just simply a way of delivery. It's just a food delivery service. So, and I did get a very nice pizza delivered to me. So we're now going to go in to High Elms Manor. This is a brilliantly sunlit Sunday morning here at this amazing, beautiful garden where the foxes were playing yesterday. Apparently there were deer here as well, and you get a lot of deer. So keep an eye out for them as well today. This could be like a really great wildlife watcher's paradise here, I think. If you go along here, see, you have like a wonderful. There's this ivy-clad gazebo here, I've shown you this many times before, but it's just such a lovely thing. Monkeys, palm trees, butterflies. It's oh, that's from Gone to Seed, isn't it? My favourite TV show. And at the heart of it all, my love. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, beautiful. Go in here. I think this has been a sort of like place for smoking, but everyone's been very good. They've always taken their cigarette ends around. It's not like the smokers' corner outside my hospital, where there's like fag ends all over the ground. They've actually taken them away, and disposed of them properly. So yeah, I'll show you. Tina Bird is here. I'll have to show you her stall. Hats for NASA hats, alien hats. Oh, this is nice. Crocodile. Oh, this is Tina's books. Guardians of Light and the Brotherhood of the Light. And this is her new book. So I'm not sure I've got room for these in my bag, but I'll certainly read these when I get the chance. And Mother Face Hugger. Here we go. Baby chest buster. Lots of these little cuddly alien monsters. And, some more of these. Bookmarks. You go along here, and this, I think this is Miles's. And there's these photographs. You know, I mentioned that the black orb. There's the black orb photo at Eastfield. There is that's an enlargement of that one. And of course, you can pause and read this stuff. This is some more Miles's things. It's to do with pirate radio and things like that. So I'll treat you with many blessings from humanity. Pause and read that. And this is Tina. I've mentioned her before, and you've seen her before, and she's back again. Hey Tina, how you doing?
Hi Ben, hi guys, hope you're doing well. It's good to see you again.
And I've just shown the viewers all your stall here. You're doing a talk here today, aren't you?
Yes, I'm doing a lecture today. It's called The Truth About Alien Abduction. It's called The Human Cost of Alien Abduction, and I'm also selling my new book, which has just been released.
Oh, excellent, brilliant. And I showed you that earlier. Brilliant. Get sure to get a copy of that. And that's cool because I remember I interviewed you myself, and yes. I remember your story it's really quite something. It's quite harrowing. So you'll be going into all that today, will you?
Yes, I will.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing that, and it's great to see you again.
It's great to see you. Always great to see you, Ben. Thank you very much.
Well, the auditorium is filling up. It's going to be. I saw John moving some extra chairs in here. I think the aisle is narrower. There's going to be more people in here today. There'll be the Simon Parkes' fans are going to come along, especially to see him. But so. It's going to be quite full, I think. So anyway, I've got a copy of Tina's book and The Bonded, The Truth About Alien Abduction, which she signed for me. I'll show you. I turn the page with one hand. I can't. She signed for me there, which is really nice. So yeah. First up though is Kerry Cassidy. She's getting ready for her second tour.
Because they know a lot, and they've never tried to tell people the truth, okay? They never went public, none of them, including the Dalai Lama. So the bottom line is that I joined my chakras through meditation. I've had multiple samadhi experiences since then. So this is since my 20s, and it's really kept me alive, I would say.
Okay, we've got a short break now before the next, the next show, so I'll just come out here for a bit of fresh air. And there's Mr. Miles. How do you do, Mr. Miles? How are you? And,
Thanks for filming.
Yeah. And there's a lady here. There's a lady here. You don't mind being filmed now, do you?
No. We don't want to see you.
All right.
Show the beautiful women.
I will, of course. I prefer to look at them too than you, Miles. So
a couple of years ago, a bit worried, but not now.
This lady's very interesting. You may recognise her voice, but you've never seen her before. Oh, what's your name? What's your real name?
Sherry.
Sherry. And Sherry is a lady I used to call.
Oh, you don't have to tell them that, though.
Well, I mean.
Oh.
You know, you play one role in your life and it sticks for the rest of your life.
But that's
She was the lady who we went to Devon. We went to Devon together twice, and we did sky watching and things, didn't we? Was that good? That was fun, wasn't it?
It was very good, actually. Yeah, we saw lots of
None of
lots
you
of
idiots
stuff.
Saw a big glowing light above the railway track, and there was that strange object with the windows. Do you remember?
I'm not going to talk about that one.
Oh, fair enough. But we already have, haven't we?
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
But just, I really want to say thanks for helping me out with those brilliant videos. Much appreciated. It's great to introduce you finally to the HPANWO TV viewers. So,
yeah, well, we had a great time though. We went down to, was it Cornwall or Devon?
Well, we went to Cornwall briefly, but it was Devon mostly. We went around Devon. Yeah, it was really quite fun.
But, yeah. Ben keeps you busy.
I certainly do, don't I, Miles?
All day long.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
He narrates all day long, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Actually, it's quite good. It just rolls off the tongue.
Well, I've had a lot of, what's the word? Practice. Yeah, I've done. How many times? How long have I been doing this for? 18 years.
Years. I've known you for quite a few years.
I think I did my first one in 2007. I did my first one in 2007 with Probe. And that was like, how long ago was that?
Fish and chips, and he's still going on. I thought he might go quiet for 5 minutes.
No, well, I mean, I'm just getting some fresh air between the speakers. And Tina is up next, and Tina Bird, very interesting lady. And if you listen to her HPANWO radio, you'll have heard my interview with her. But she's now going to do a talk here at Awake and Aware.
Is wait 5 days, go back 5 days later, and take another picture. And I said, what for? What causes this? I said, is it like an infection or something? He said, no. When you have serious operations and severe bruising like that comes from operations. I'm like, okay. I said, looks like I've been strangled. He said, no, it's too late for strangulation. It's above you. It's got to be above the part that we can breathe from. So it was down here. So he said, it's not that. He said, go back in 5 days. He said, if I was you, I'd go take your clothes off in the booth and take a picture. I'm not standing.
I'll come out for a little walk outside here. This is a bit quieter out here at the front. A bit more shade. But I said I'm not going to do a review of all the talks just yet. I'll save that for later. I'll probably do it at home because I actually have to leave at the end of the conference. Can't hang around, unfortunately, with this one. But yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the next one, which will be Gary Heseltine's tour. Gary Heseltine is doing the Norton Forest tour, so that's up next. Lovely place, isn't it? Beautiful.
Done. It's managed. It's controlled. What I'm talking about more as demonic type forces. Demonic forces which are deeply rooted in half human, half non-human masters of this earth, evil people, who believe themselves to be God Almighty, and therefore they have the right to do what they do. So there's a different group.
Hello everyone, I'm joined with Myra. Hello Myra, how do you do?
Hello, nice to meet you.
You too, yeah. Is this the first time you've come to Awake and Aware?
It is. The last UFO conference I was at, I ran one 30 years ago at Penrith, in Scotland, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You actually ran your own conference?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you've been doing this a long time?
Yeah, been involved in a lot of things for a long time.
I'm surprised I haven't met you before because, I'm a real aficionado for these kinds of conferences. But what do you think of this particular one, with all your experience?
I think it's very, very good, very good. The speakers are excellent. I feel that there's a lot more understanding here. And everyone's explaining everything very, very well, because I've always been a healer, a hypnotherapist, a crystal healer, a lot of spiritual work. I've worked abroad an awful lot, lots of German clients, brought them on tours here to go to Stonehenge, Avebury, places of interest like that. And I've been doing that for the last Really, 50, 60 years maybe.
60 years.
I'm 81.
Oh, congratulations, 81. You see, when they are some quite elderly, you know, there's, I don't know if you're the oldest person here, but
yeah, maybe.
that's really good. I hope if I get to be 81, I'll still be going to events like this. I really do. What do you think of this venue? Is it
I think it's absolutely lovely. I love the old houses and the literature and the history of them, and I think it lends itself to these sort of events, you know, because you can take yourself outside in the open air and look at the beautiful nature and ground yourself in between whatever else is going on, you know.
That's true, it's a really lovely event, isn't it?
Yes, it is, it's wonderful. But it's the people you meet too that make it, you know, the ordinary people who can express what they want to express. And you sit there and listen to so many wonderful stories of healing and life and so many things, you know. And I'm so much involved at the moment in the children's side of it. I was horrified to hear my 8-year-old grandson was taken into a lesson at school to explain the female body and the male body, and it wasn't a biology lesson. They were playing all day, and my grandson had a feeling he didn't want to be there for the lesson, asked the teacher to excuse him, and she said no. So I'm going to fight for this, because it was on the last day of school, or the day before the last day. I'd collected him so that he could go to a swimming lesson. So I took him out of school a little bit earlier, half an hour earlier. And I was horrified when he showed me the diagrams he was given at 8 years old.
That's really horrible, especially at that young age. That's disgusting, I think.
Terrible. He was horrified himself. And I will certainly take this up with the school, which is a church school. But it was the day they broke on their holidays, so I'm still a warrior, even at 81.
Well, woe betide them in September when they come back.
Yes, definitely, because, you know, it's wrong.
It is, totally.
And parents need to realise this, but this is a film that's been taken from England and put into the Welsh education system.
It is everywhere now. The plans I feel sorry for kids these days, you know. I mean, to corrupt them and to destroy them, break them down.
I was talking to a lady today, which was interesting. And she was saying she was down at the local library, and she was really alarmed by what was going on, that there were transvestites reading storybooks to children.
Oh, the Dragon Story Hour.
It's dreadful. It's polluting their minds. There were babies there, you know.
It's obscene, isn't it?
It really is obscene, and you know, it's time that we all joined together and really got all these politicians out and the people that are introducing it all to the schools.
The good thing about coming to an event like this is it's a way of striking back, because you're meeting with people who are, and it's a way of building bonds with people who are on your side.
Indeed. It's so wonderful to hear the different stories that people have experienced with the UFO phenomena. My partner Simon, his father was out walking his dog, and the dog's hair stood on end, and he was absolutely terrified. And so he ran home with the dog. His wife was upstairs, she was 9 months pregnant, but she was sound asleep. And he ran into the bedroom and he said, he opened the curtains and there was a UFO directly over the house.
Oh my goodness.
And I always say they delivered Simon. And we did a really brilliant conference in Spain with a Red Indian chief. And the first thing he said to Simon was, they delivered you.
Sometimes they do. They put their own people into us.
That's right. That's right.
But Myra, thank you very much for
Pleasure.
really, really good to get your take on this particular conference.
It's an excellent conference, and I would say to everybody, please, when you hear about them, support them, because you can learn so much in every walk of life.
That's true. Yeah, do please come along to the next one.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Daily Star has done it again. Space Boffin's secret plan to stop an alien invasion. Invite them to play chess. Oh, dearie me. This is, I mean, I've talked to you before about the Daily Star and about how they portray this. Luckily, not all the mainstream media is this bad, but, this is unfortunately where it's, the chain broke at its weakest link.
Buy this paper.
Oh, God, no. Which has just ended. Jane Shattuck did her speech. As always, I'll review the speech later, but it's a shame it's all over, but that's what conferences are like. They come and they go. And it's always a bit of a shock to go back to the so-called real world after being in this very heady and loving atmosphere of people you don't think you're crazy and you can talk to, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Luckily, it's not like a hard stop. There's some people hanging around here. I know they're going to go for a curry house. They're going to go to a curry house in Hatfield, which I'm not going to join them. I've got to go home. But excuse me. But I'm waiting for Colin. Colin's going to come here and he's going to give me a lift to the tube station, and I've got to head home. As I've got Colin here with me, and we're now leaving. Colin is very kindly going to give me a lift to the underground station in Watford. From there, I can proceed to London and home. So, it's just sad to leave. I just said goodbye to everyone, and I've had a wonderful weekend here, and I'll be back. Okay, guys. Now, I've got a plan. If I've got time, I'll do this. This Metropolitan line train, that purple line there. I'm on the underground train now at Watford. It goes to Baker Street. Once I'm on Baker Street, I can probably get onto this brown line, which I can't remember what that's called. That's Bakerloo, I think, to Oxford Circus, and then nip along to Holborn. Now, the reason I want to go and visit Holborn Station is that Miles reckoned there was an underground alien base there, and so if I've got time, I'll go there and I'll check it out, because why not? There should be signs to look for, like unusual doorways and things like that. I might even ask some of the staff if I get the chance. So anyway, I don't see anyone else on this train right now, so I've got quite a long. It just says next station is Troxley. I don't know when it's going to leave. We'll find out anyway. I'm not doing any formal souvenirs sections for this video, but I just wanted to let you know what I brought with me to read. I got this. I managed to get a hold of a copy of this, Neil Spring, The Lost Village, Deliciously Creepy by the Herald. You may remember this book because I found it on the shelf in the hotel Sherry and I were staying at in Devon. And the landlord told me he knew the author, Neil Spring, and so it looked so fascinating. I read the first few pages and I thought, I've got to read the rest, so now I am. And of course I managed to find this. I just found this on a free stall giveaway, War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, with an introduction by Orson Scott Card. No relation to Orson Welles, but this of course is the original alien invasion story on which all the others are based. So I thought now would be a time. It published in 1898. Now I think would be a good time maybe to become acquainted with this story, considering what's going on in the world right now. Okay, I'm on the central line. On the underground. Should be approaching Holborn Station very soon. I'm going to get out and look around to see if I can work out exactly what Miles was talking about. Afterwards I'll let Miles know what I found out. Oh, here we go. It's actually kind of on my way because I've got to get on the Piccadilly line anyway. But to remind you, Miles has stated that there is a Illuminati / alien base somewhere on
this station we're approaching now, so I'm going to head this way anyway, but we'll have to have a look around to see what we see. There we are, it's Holborn. Right. So what we're basically looking for is an unusual doorway, a tunnel seeming to lead nowhere. Something like that. I'll just check along the platform here. I might have a chance to ask a member of staff exactly what's happening. I mean, there's several really good videos, like there's a sequence of the London Underground I do recommend. Let's have a look through here. I think that's an electric cupboard. Yeah. That there, I think, is the stairway to the other platform. Okay, I'm just going to go along here, see what we can find out. And if I can't see anything, I'll just head for the Piccadilly line, which is where I'm going anyway. So. I've seen a lot of adverts for this here. Oh, I'll show you it over here. Look, Back to the Future, the musical. London. Private. Can't see what's in there. Is this the way out? Way out. Alright, I'll follow this one. I was going to say that, like, Back to the Future, the musical, London's 1.21 gigawatt adventure or something. I'm reminded of The Simpsons, where there's like a musical of Planet of the Apes. Sometimes, you know, these adaptations are just a little bit predictable. Not very much. Here's another one. P-Way Utilities. Maybe someone can tell me what that means. Does P stand for Pleiadians, I wonder? A little bit of a wind along here. A portal must be opening. Or maybe it's actually just the ram effect of the train entering or leaving the platform. Let's have a Piccadilly line. I'm going that way anyway. That's the way out. Now apparently this is a very, very long... Now from what I heard, apparently it's something to do with this escalator. This is a very, very long escalator. I think this is the biggest escalator on the underground. So we're going to just go up here now. Now, one thing I love doing, it's just a game, right? If you go like this, and you imagine you're like on a travelator, a straight travelator at the airport, it looks like everyone's leaning backwards. It looks like they're all like leaning backwards. It's quite funny that. But as you see here, this is a very long... Right, this escalator has something to do with it.
Almost the handrail, and please do not rush.
Alright.
Ensure you hold on to all your employees at all times.
They're telling people not to rush in London, they must be joking. Anyway,
when using the stairs, please be careful, hold on to the handrail, and do not rush.
So, maybe I'll find someone I can ask, but apparently it's something to do with these escalators that's connected to the base. I'll ask Miles when I see him. I'll text him when I've done this, actually. And there seems to be no one around. It's like... Now the customer... There's a guy who looks like the ticket talks on the other side, so I'd have to leave the station to go out. Now, I'm familiar with this station because I used to go around through here when I used to go to Skeptics in the Pub, because there used to be a pub called the Penderel's Oak, which is where Skeptics in the Pub used to be. Anyway, I can't find anyone to ask on this side of the barrier, so I'm not going through the barrier. just to get some people's attention. I can ask this guy, yeah? Hi mate, how you doing? I was wondering if you've seen anything strange around here lately. People in unusual clothes, sort of strange facial features. No? Any unusual doorways where you don't know where anything goes? Nothing like that? No. Alright, thanks anyway. Thanks. So that's a guy who works here, doesn't seem to know anything about it. So, right. I'm now going to just go down here. I think I'll probably just continue. I'll go along to the Piccadilly line platform. That might be able to tell me something. But if not, then I'm going to have to conclude. Even this secret alien base is very well hidden. Oh, it doesn't exist. I have to see what they say. Weird noise. But everywhere it says Back to the Future the musical again. Everywhere you go, there's these posters advertising something or other. BBC Earth. There's adverts everywhere. The Lion King is still running after all these years. But there was a very good video. There's a video called Ghosts of the Underground, which I very much recommend. There's also another one called, it's just called Secrets of the London Underground. And it tells you a lot of not paranormal or anything weird, but it tells you a lot of strange things going on. Now, there's a large, what looks like a series of doors here. We're going that way to the Piccadilly line. These appear to be emergency appliances. There's a fire extinguisher there. And it just appears to be locked here. See a seal on there, security seal. Anyway, we're going to head for the Piccadilly line now.
No service between Queen's Park and Harrow Wilson due to planned engineering.
You see, there's always
service on the rest of the line. There are minor delays on the Metropolitan line.
I think I've got to go to the other side.
The Piccadilly line is partially closed. No service between Acton Town, Heathrow Terminals 1, 2, 3, Heathrow Terminal 5, and Heathrow Terminal 4. Minor delays on the rest of the line.
Piccadilly line now.
The Waterloo City line is closed. The London Overground is
shorter this one.
No service between Euston and Watford Junction.
So we have here a slightly shorter escalator going down. However, it's clear this is like we're going much deeper. This is like more deeper than the central lines. We're actually going down descending to a very low level. Maybe this was the escalator they meant, but this is, for miles I remember saying it was a very long escalator. This is a much shorter escalator.
Please take care of the escalators. Stand on the right, walk on the left.
Anyway, here we go.
One more hand and please do not rush.
Please don't rush.
Ensure you hold on to all of your belongings at all times.
So everything looks normal so far. Eastbound.
When using the stairs, please be careful. Hold on to the handrail.
I'm not exactly sure where I'm going now. Keep shut. Locked door. Slaxer made me laugh. This made me think of American Werewolf in London. I think it is this way, but let's have a look. Yes, I have to go to Green Park, so I'm going this way. Down even deeper. I think this is like, I think it's the Northern line that's the deepest line on the network. There we are. And we found ourselves on another platform now. This is the Piccadilly line platform here at Holborn. So have a quick look at the end of the platform here, see what I can find. Just firefighting appliances there. Electric. I think these are just electric cabinets, I think. That's a normal electric cabinet. Okay, so nothing there particularly. This all looks normal. Nothing suspicious about this end of the platform. head for the other end of the platform, see what we can see there. It's a shorter platform than the one on the central line, actually. Whoops. Sorry, that's not mine. Alright, nice, so guys. So just have a look at the other end of the platform, see what's there so far. Now, I've been over this entire station, and we'll see what's there. I came from the Central Line, we're on the Piccadilly line now. And we see here a doorway. It's just like a single, it's like a single entrance doorway. And I think it is just a locked doorway. Yeah. Please keep locked. We pause and read this. It's a storage license for Alpha Beatty. Well, any of these doorways could be entrances to a secret base. But if it is, it's not a very big base. It's not a very big secret base, that's the case, is it? Whatever the aliens are, they're not 10-foot tall reptilians. Maybe mini greys. Anyway, I'll text Miles and tell him what I found. Okay guys, I'm on the coach now back to Oxford, and maybe now's as good a time as any to talk about today's speakers. Kerry Cassidy did her second talk, and she showed 2 clips from GB News, 2 interviews with Jan Halper Hayes. Now these were so good, these interviews, that I did something I don't normally do. I broke radio silence on social media. I SMS'd them to my friend Viv, who's very, very keen on this sort of thing, and because I thought it was so good, because she was talking about how basically the 17th letter is kind of re-emerged in a new form, and something that somebody was saying last night as well when we were having our little talk made me think differently about the 17th letter. Is it possible, that the you-know-what asterisk presidency of Joe Biden is actually serving a purpose for the 17th letter? We must remember that the purpose of the 17th letter is not to give people information, because people have tried doing that before. People like David Shayler, people like Julian Assange, look what happened to them. It's about encouraging the public to think differently. As I said in my Alt-Tech exclusive it's called Is You Know What True? Or Is You Know What Real? Or Why You Know What Is Real? The title was Why the 17th Letter is Real. Because having this you-know-what presidency, excuse me, is it's a learning experience, a massive learning experience. Now this fits in with something that I noticed, because at the supposed inauguration of Uncle Joe, because it was the kind of party where you turn up and it's really boring and no one's there, things like that, there was only about 20 people watching, I remember, what was strange was, and I pointed this out at the time, in fact I mentioned this in my coverage at the time, there was an honour guard there, supposedly, but the soldiers were in sterile uniforms. In other words, there were no flashes or badges or patches on them. Military uniforms have encoded information in terms of the decorations, or badges of rank, things like that. Nothing like that there. So either they're not really soldiers, or they're actors, in other words, or something, maybe they're new recruits. I didn't know, but I thought that was very odd. But it does fit in when you find out that possibly, this is another thing that Kerry was looking into, that Donald Trump had been sworn in as Commander-in-Chief of the US Armed Forces. Because the President and Commander-in-Chief are like 2 separate jobs held by the same office.
Biden may be the asterisk president, but Trump is still the commander-in-chief, which changes everything. It's even possible that Biden has died at some point. He's been replaced by an actor. I mean, the guy's so old and decrepit. It's no wonder. I mean, I think it's unlikely simply because of the fact that the fact that he keeps bumbling around is like a sign that it's the same old Biden. Okay, lots of talk about the V word and the tests for the disease, if you know what, As I said, I recommend how it could be that a certain mobile phone protocol may be connected to it. Number 5 golf. I can't recommend too much. The documentary whose very title I can't even utter on YouTube. I'd call it Expired Without Warning. Just get a thesaurus. Now, she also mentions these fires that are breaking out in places like Hawaii, Corfu, places like that. There's actually it's a video from Hawaii of what looks like distinct signs of directed energy weapons being deployed. Beams coming down from above, possibly from space, and causing the kind of Hutchison effect, like damage, which I talked about before. And of course there's the Peru business, and Kerry thinks that the whole Peru thing. Honestly, if I hadn't been going to these conferences, I'd probably have done a whole live stream about the whole Peru situation, because I will have to look into it more when I get back. But the talk is in a very remote village in the Amazon jungle, people are being attacked by aliens. She thinks that may be the first start of the last card, which is possible. Kerry has a lot of precognitive dreams, and she's thought she's seen an underground base under Hawaii. She's also predicting a military takeover of the United States, which, well, considering who's commander-in-chief, would be a good thing. And the return of course, JFK Jr. Now, Kerry is very keen on this side of this chap called Juan O. Savin, not O. Savin as in an Irish genitive, but Juan O, letter O, and Savin, S-A-V-I-N, that he is actually John F. Kennedy Jr. I mean, in the 90s, JFK Jr. supposedly died in a plane crash. He was flying a light aircraft and it exploded in midair or something. Coincidentally, again, another coincidence, just when he was about to run for the New York Senate against Hillary Clinton. Now, there's another guy called Vincent Fuchsia, who also people say is JFK Jr. Obviously, they both can't be JFK Jr. Either one of them is, or neither of them are. That remains to be seen. But there was an interesting talk by Kerry. As I said, Kerry's information, I think, varies in terms of quality, and this was a good one. Tina Bird. Now, listeners to her HPANWO radio will know that I interviewed her myself. She has a talk called The Human Side of Alien Abduction, and this has affected other members of her family, including her partner and her dog, who died of radiation poisoning. She lives in a UFO spot in Southampton, and she is an abductee. She does use the word she insists on using the word abductee, not experiencer. And she spotted a connection which I've made as well, because of her injuries that she's received. The marks on her body, internal injuries, things like that, which are in her book. I mean, I've got a copy of her book. I didn't show you that. I think I did show you earlier, I think, yeah. Because on Colaris, now this was also in the Amazon jungle, actually, it happened in the 70s. It was in the Amazon estuary. There's an island with a community on it called Colaris, where they reported a large amount of alien activity, and including injuries and abductions and injuries and things like that. The local doctor is actually one of the most important witnesses to that. And the governments are not saying anything, probably because there's nothing they can do about it. Yeah. and she had actually material removed from her body, like such as this black webbing material, which was taken to histopathology. We porters used to have to do that kind of thing, actually. We used to transport this sort of thing. But I'm wondering what I think would happen is that these... Apparently these... Tina never got a report on this sort of thing, which leads me to believe that they were just handed over to MI6 or something. Right, Simon Parkes was the next speaker. Now, he's... what's interesting about Simon is the reason I'm going to give Simon credibility is when he first started to investigate his experiences in the 90s, the first place he went was Bufora. Now, only someone who was very naive and new to this subject would go to Bufora with the kind of experiences that Simon claims, which leads me to believe that his claim is real. He had childhood memories from the age of 10, where he visited the school in space, and he even had a strange pupil at one of his driving lessons. What's interesting is he's been accused of a lot of things. I mean, I've written an article defending him from some of the more serious allegations, but he's also been accused of supporting a central digital bank currency, which he says is not true, and he explains why. But he does support Jasara, and he believes that there's a reason why so far the Royal Mint has not released any banknotes with the King's head on it. They've still got the Queen's head. And he mentioned the Zimbabwe currency again, which of course is inflated enormously, but he was like encouraging people to get hold of trillion dollar Zimbabwe notes and things like that. Jane Shattuck was the final speaker, and she talked about her mother, who was a medium. And I must admit, I slept through a lot of this, not because Jane was boring, but because I was very drowsy by then. But she talked about reincarnation. And she asked how many people believe in reincarnation, about her mother, who was a medium who says we're billions of years old because we have recurring lifetimes. And how the Spanish flu, the Spanish flu from 1918 to 1990, just after the Great War, was devastating to the world. But its strain was actually H1N1, exactly the same as swine flu. So it makes you wonder why it had such a devastating effect. It could be because people were exhausted from the war and their constitutions were weak and things like that. But she claims gas from World War I, such as phosgene, mustard gas, things like that, this actually wafted all over the world and caused Spanish flu. And I don't know if these, actually I'm not quite sure if these toxins, these chemical weapons, actually do have such an effect in low concentrations. I don't know, I have not heard that's possible. She mentioned Val Valiant Thor. Dr. Frank Stranges wrote a book called Stranger at the Pentagon. And he mentions this guy who landed in a spaceship and spent a lot of time at the Pentagon talking to the president and things like that in the 50s. Very interesting. UFOs often appear at nuclear disasters, nuclear weapon sites. Where was this? She mentioned spontaneous human combustion as well, and apparently she said some things that really don't make a lot of sense. Like apparently skyscrapers destroy the Earth because they put too much weight on the Earth. And she also she says she is like myself. She's kind of pro-life, but she says, she says that when a baby's conceived, the entity, that is the soul of the baby, actually doesn't enter until the 14th week. And so she says that when she says she's against abortion, she says she's against abortion after the 14th week. And like I said in my own video on the March for Life, I said this is kind of, I really do find that argument very dubious, and I'll explain why. She said some of the things that don't quite make sense to me. She says that if you're a very tall man, you should date a tall woman. Because was it brain patterns or soul patterns? And also, more controversially, she claims that people, you shouldn't date someone of a different race, a different skin colour, racial group than yourself. And she didn't give an explanation for this, to be honest. This was the time when I was kind of feeling a bit drowsy, so I didn't quite take it in. I have actually not dated anyone who's non-white, but I have dated several women who are considerably shorter than me. Maybe it's the protective side of myself, but I actually I find women who are very small in stature quite appealing. Generally, not all of them, of course, but generally it's a feature I quite like. And I don't see what the problem is with that. And she says that was something to do with the baby, how the baby's thought patterns or something, or soul patterns. Jane's she speaks in this very posh accent, but she's very down to earth. And maybe I'll get the chance to ask her more about that when I see her. Anyway, interesting set of speakers for Sunday as well. Right, well guys, it's about 10:30 in the evening. I finally got home. I've still got a little walk to get home, but my main journey is now over. But it's been really, really great. I want to thank all the organisers, the speakers, the other delegates who've been absolutely fantastic. It's wonderful spending time with these people. As I said, it's difficult to return to the real world after you've had an experience like that. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.